So I want to talk a little bit about residencies because you've spent time in residencies all over the world, and I don't think it was maybe I don't know if it qualifies as a residency, but I know you spent a lot of time in Italy lately as well, and so I guess this is selfish of me because I'm at a point in my own creative practice where for the first time as of this summer, I'm just going all in on residencies. I'm applying like crazy. This is the direction that I want to move in, and so on one hand, I'm just curious, to see what you think about them. But on the other hand, I think a lot of people see residencies as a big mystery as well. Like it's not. I don't remember talking about residencies with my teachers in grad school, for example. So do those residencies, the changes in geography, do they shift your compositional mindset in any way, or does your sense of like home terrain, like whatever is home base to you, maybe Montana, maybe St. Louis, whatever in your mind that it is. Does that follow you wherever you go? Whether you're in the New England or Italy or Southeast Asia or wherever.
Yeah, I have had a great time at residencies. I think that they've been really productive in my life, not necessarily because I thought that I made my best work there, but because I met probably some of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life there. And when you go to a residency, you're sort of given this, well, oftentimes you're paired with people who are from other disciplines, usually. And there's just kind of like this base level of curiosity and sort of respect that everybody has for everybody else that allows you to sort of like share your work and for them to share their work to an audience that is like 100% interested in knowing like what you do and taking it seriously and celebrating it. And that is like a dream. I mean,
Right.
how often, I mean, yeah, we're composers. We're like in our own minds thinking about stuff all the time. Maybe, like my wife hears me talk about all sorts of stupid composition stuff all the time. She's just, she just kind of nods and is like, okay, cool, or whatever. And I'm like, probably driving her crazy. But it's like the idea that you can go somewhere and just sit down with people every day for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe multiple months, and just like ruminate over all this stuff that you think about and they're thinking about that stuff too, and that just feels very validating and affirming. And I always leave a residency feeling really like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, and people
Yeah.
do care about like these things and they care about these ideas, and it's important that I continue trying to figure them out. So that part is huge. As far as like where the residency is located, that's a good question too. The only residencies I've been to, well, multiple of them have been in Italy. Italy's always obviously a good time. And one was in Norway, which was incredible. And then I think I did one other one in upstate New York, which was also great. So, yeah, I don't know. Like the location of them doesn't necessarily leave like a huge mark on my work. The people leave a much bigger impression. And it's always a good thing for me to like get out of town or to like go away and like kind of have a little distance to like look back from. God, I can't remember this quote. I used to have this like great quote by this writer who talked about sort of like the central sort of concern of an artist is like leaving home and like looking back at it. Um, I'll have to find it someday, but I think it's important to get out of town and sort of have a second to look at what it is that you're actually doing every day and every year, and to know if that's really been productive or useful or positive. It kind of gives you a chance to sort of come back and be like, okay, how can this situation work better for whatever my goals are and stuff like that. So, but also, I don't know. This It's also good to be reminded of why you like a place. I was in Italy for a year, in Rome, and honestly, I was kind of jonesing to come back here at the end because I love the American art scene and music scene. Like I miss living in a really diverse city where I can go see a hip hop show and a avant garde art show and a musical, whatever. Like go see all this stuff in a week. And being in Italy, it was all sort of kind of similar to me, and I sort of was excited by it at first because it was different. But then I thought, okay, this is like a vibe, and I've gotten my fill, and now I want to
Yeah.
now I want to go back to this insane place that is the United States where the conditions are pretty inhospitable to make art, but people still do. So it comes from a really deep place, which I admire.
I guess, to that point, you're talking about people that you meet at these residencies, and I can't help but think of, we follow one another on social media, and it seems that you're deeply connected to, like, communities of artists in St. Louis where you live. So, to that effect, I mean, you kind of do that at home as well, it seems like. Is there a difference between connecting with artists at home versus connecting with artists, elsewhere?
Yeah, there's just like layers of politics at home. I think that
Oh, yeah.
when people are elsewhere, I think everybody's sort of detached or starting from a baseline of like, I don't have any expectation or I have no idea what this is, But at home, it's very easy to sort of like I I had to tread very lightly, Like I want to, because I'm the type of person I just like want so desperately to be like very heavily involved. Like,
Mm,
please let
yep.
me be involved. Like right away, I want to be involved. But then I have to be like, okay, you have to know though that like you're not from here. You have to know like what it means, like that, like what you do, what that means, like who you work with, what that means, like who you work for, what that means. You're like your gender, your identity, all that stuff means something in these communities, and you have to sort of be aware of that and sort of know how to navigate that. And I think that's been interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot about that because particularly in St. Louis is like every issue that plagues the United States is like on the surface happening every hour, every minute, every day in St. Louis. So there is like very little distance, ironic distance, like everything is very real here. And so I find it actually a really good place to make art because your art is all the sort of like things that your art means, like socio-politically, politically, whatever, all that. Which if you're maybe somewhere where there's like a scene, people just sort of like shed all that, or they don't really think about it that much, and it's like,
Right.
oh, we're all doing this, so here we are, all just doing it. We're just going to focus on this part of it. Here, it's like that baggage all comes with you wherever you go to something. It's like you're driving a U-Haul truck full of stuff into the scene and being like, here's my string quartet, but it's like actually your string quartet represents like something much much bigger than that here. And so it's been nice to sort of like think about it like that, get a kind of much broader cultural perspective on what it is that we do.
And I should clarify, because we are living in the United States in 2025, that when you say that navigating politics, it doesn't necessarily mean like the overarching, like, right, left, conservative, liberal, like all that. It's like local politics of doing what we do, like having to think in a political way that's not necessarily, the same politics as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's much more. I mean, politics here could mean like these two people who work in this space went to high school together and were on
Right, right.
like one was on the varsity squad, one was on the JV squad, whatever. It's like it's
Yeah.
there's layers and layers.
No, it's like when we moved into our house in Cincinnati and our neighbor's like, "Oh, you guys did marching band. Where'd you go to high school?" And it's like, "We're not from here." It's like
Yeah,
everybody just assumes you're from here, and yeah, I
same
totally
in
get
St. Louis. Most of the people are from here that I've met. It's a city of locals, which gives it a cool culture. It's generations and generations, but it also means that there's a lot of entrenched stuff that is very difficult to navigate, or you have to be very careful about how you navigate.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Micromaker by Loose Leaf Transmissions. We hope you enjoyed this brief glimpse into the inner workings of the creative life. If this resonated with you, be sure to check out the full conversation on Music Maker with Tyler Klein, a podcast exploring craft and process, philosophy and inspiration, and the honest, often messy parts of being an artist, creative uncertainty, purpose and identity, and resilience. You can find Music Maker wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting musicmakerpodcast.com.